it on my phone because it wasn't working on the computer. Sorry.
Welcome to the game. I'm Russ Cohen. We've got Nikco Riesgo. Nikco, how are you? Nikko's on the line, but he doesn't hear us. And Mike Augello, how are you?
Russ Cohen, my man.
Nikco, you have to unmute yourself. Are you there? He's still, something's going on with him. And we're going to talk about the winter baseball blues, Mike. That's where we're at right now with Major League Baseball and the players. I'm not particularly against either side. I will just say, and again, this isn't going to be the show where we get into the nitty-gritty details of everything and what they're fighting for, because honestly, a lot of it really doesn't matter to fans. What does matter is spring training's withering away, and what could be opening day is withering away, and there are some big caverns for things they're arguing about, like a difference of 20 million and 110 million. And I look at this and I just think Tony Clark is in over his head.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can pretty much write off spring training. I know that there's been a move over the last couple of days to, they've been meeting for longer periods of time, but the details that are coming out of it is, there's very little progress. It's like, thousands of dollars in terms of, international money or league or minimum salaries. It's really not the big issues that are being dealt with. It's the piddly stuff. And honestly, I mean, maybe the fact that they are talking at all is encouraging, but honestly, until they're making progress on the big stuff, which I don't know about you, Russ, like the owners are not going to give the players what they want. I think that it's going to be a situation where it's going to be a game of chicken. And we pretty much know with Tony Clark, who's a former player, and I'm sure he has advisors, but the players are going to end up giving up at a certain point. The owners will essentially inflict enough pain on them, and then I think what will end up happening is, the big players, the players who are losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, are going to say, screw this, and let's get the best deal that we can.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong on that. I think right now the little guy is getting hurt in the sport, always, because of low salaries and whatever, but now because they're just not able to report to camp either. So that's bad. The free agents that are out there that aren't like stars that will get signed up in that first couple of hours when they know there's a season, whether that's June 1st or otherwise, they're the ones that are going to have a hard time finding jobs. And that's the tough part.
If they do, and I would not be surprised if the owners do something similar to what the NFL did. If you remember, there seemed to be, even though the NFL is pretty much the weakest union of all the four professional sports, what the owners did was they increased the minimum salary and got enough of the rank and file on board with that. They didn't, that was enough to get more than 50% to vote in favor of the new CBA. And I'll bet you anything that in the end, that's what ends up happening. Max Scherzer is not going to get more money, or you're not going to get a salary cap floor, which I'm sure probably most of the budget teams are not going to be in favor of. But you might get a player getting $800,000 on his first year being called up instead of 575 or whatever it is.
Yeah, don't worry. Max Scherzer showed up in his Porsche today, so he's doing okay. He's not worried.
Man of the people.
No, I mean, look, he is a pretty good guy, but I'm just saying it doesn't give off the best vibe, even in this era. So yeah, sometimes,
that's sort of the baseball version of Evander Kane fanning out the $100 bills on the on the balcony in Vegas during the lockout. It's like, okay, we'll see. We see what's going on here. I mean, it's millionaires versus billionaires, and I find it hard to have sympathy for either one, but we just know that in the end, the guys with more money and better negotiators are going to end up winning.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is the standpoint of the players saying we want a mediator. And the last time they got one, it took like 8 months to come up with mediation that it worked for both sides. So why in the world would you do that now, knowing it will take probably at least 3 or 4 months? Makes no sense. Like, if you were going to do this, and again, why did you wait until now? I get sometimes you have to have both sides waiting until there's something they feel like that they could be missing, but I think it was pretty clear at the end of last season they weren't going to be able to come to an agreement. We knew that. If we knew that, they knew that. So why would you wait so long and then again try and get mediation? Of course, the owners are not going to agree to it.
Right. And I mean, the only thing I can think of is this is a tactic to make the owners look unreasonable, but there's a bulletin. It's like, come on.
They don't care, though.
They don't care. It's like, honestly, they'll throw away 50, 60 games of the season as long as they break the union. And I think,
right.
We've already had 2 seasons shortened by COVID. The one thing that will make, it unbearable for the owners is if they lose the negotiations. And I mean, from what I've heard from people like Jeff Passan, basically saying that this is the players trying to make up some of the ground that they lost on the last CBA, which they basically got taken to the cleaners on. And it doesn't work that way. Make the best deal you possibly can. If you're
never going to get to even with owners.
Right. Exactly. You get the best deal you possibly can. Get as much as you can. I don't know if you're going to go to war because you want a draft lottery instead of a regular draft. It says, okay, we have a draft lottery in the NHL and the NBA. That really has solved a lot of problems.
True. Very true. We do want to thank everybody for going to Full Press and reading our best at each position. That's something that we thought of to help pass the time during this off season, and we have other plans to further the baseball conversation if there's not players playing. So don't worry, keep going back to the website. We'll have content up there, original content. We're not going to fold up our tent, are we, Mike?
No, and I'm in the World Series in my Stratomatic baseball league. So if we don't have baseball to talk about in April and May, I can regale you with my hopeful win of the World Championship in that league that I've been in since I was 13 years old.
And how many times have you won the championship in that league?
3 times.
3 times, and how many years?
The league started in 1982. So we're talking 40 years.
So 3 times in 40 years. So you're basically having like New York Mets success.
Yeah.
Like similar to that.
Yes. And I've had along the way, Hall of Famers like Greg Maddux and Ozzie Smith and Ryan Sandberg. But, I practice what I preach, Russ. I've also tanked and gotten the first pick. I think 5 or 6 times. So
5 or 6. Wow. That's more than the Pirates.
If you're going to suck the worst.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question about that. All right. So let's talk about a rumor. Aaron Judge, there's the thought that he is not going to sign with the Yankees, when his contract is up. And then the thought is the Mets should sign him. I don't think the Mets will sign him. What do you think is going to happen with Aaron Judge?
I think this is negotiations. I mean, we've heard that, and I don't even know who his representative is. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Boris, but
could be E.F. Hutton. I don't know who.
Yeah, people listen. But the talk is that if he isn't signed by whenever opening day is, then he's going to test free agency. And I think where the two sides are differing probably is term, because you got to remember Judge came up later in his career than people think. I think he came up at 26, 25 or 26. And I think he's close to 30 or over 30. So, if you give him a 7-8 year deal, you're talking about him going to 37 or 38. I mean, that's, we know how bad that is, and they're just getting out from under the onerous Jacoby Ellsbury, contract. So, the Yankees can afford it. They've got Stanton, they've got, Cole, on big money deals. I think they want Judge to be an all-time, Yankee in terms of being, for his entire career. And I think that desire is there for him, but he wants to get paid, and he hasn't gotten paid yet. And that's the thing.
Right.
It's like, I think, and the concern about him, and I think it's a legitimate concern, is up until this year, and this year was, the exception, not the rule. He's been hurt almost every year. I mean, his rookie year when he hit 50 plus home runs, he was completely healthy. After that, he's missed, 30, 40, 45 games. It's, every year there's something, a quad, a shoulder, whatever. Last year he was durable. He played and he played a lot of center field. So that was a good year for him in terms of establishing that he can be healthy, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, that is another reason why, they may be hesitant to give him a long term, because they don't want that albatross around their neck.
True. So we've got some breaking news here. Major League Baseball has set a hard deadline for Monday. If they don't have a deal by Monday, they will start canceling regular season games.
Mm-hmm.
Canceling, not to be made up.
Yep. Not surprised.
And this is what we thought. We knew they didn't want to play 162 games this year.
Yeah, and I mean, you will start, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just saying, I'm getting out my crystal ball here. You'll start to see cracks in the union. You'll start to see them on social media. They'll maybe keep their cool for a little while, but you'll start to see cracks. Once they're canceling regular season games and they're losing paychecks, then things are going to get serious. And the owners are just going to, light up that $100 bill and light their cigar with it.
Yeah. So Alex Wood, here's a tweet within the last hour. It's fascinating MLB setting a hard deadline to play for a full season Monday. They had locked us out, had barely any contact for 2 months post-lockout, have yet to make a good faith offer, to even initiate real conversations to get a deal done, just make a real offer. Like, that couldn't be more frivolous if he tried. He doesn't talk about one issue. He doesn't talk about one thing that the owners haven't done. The owners have gone to the table. Whether they're negotiating in good faith, who knows? Whether the players are negotiating in good faith, who knows? But that's a weak tweet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the owners did make an offer, and the players rejected it out of hand, and then we heard there was not going to be a counter offer. So, I mean, who's stonewalling here? I mean, this is the thing. It's a staring contest. They're both looking at each other across from the abyss, and neither one is going to flinch right now. And I mean, great. But it's just, I mean,
here's a quote from Scott Boras, and we all love Scott Boras.
Oh yes, he's the Alan Walsh of baseball.
When you're offering bear traps, it's hard to attract bears. Well, these are going to be hungry bears after a while, Scott.
Yeah. How about the players are going to be walking across the Mojave Desert for 2 months, and then the owner's going to offer them a warm can of Coke, and they're going to be extremely happy to take that.
How about this? It seems like the owner is smarter than the average bear.
Okay, keep that analogy going. Come on, stretch it as far as you can there,
No,
Scott.
I memean, I think I did as much as I could with it, and I don't think Scott Boras made a very good case there.
Yeah,
Again,
where does the major league player go in the woods?
I mean, again, this is a situation where it's on both sides that they didn't do anything for 2 months and they frittered it away. We talked about that.
Right.
And
But we know the reason why. This was a pressure tactic. This was the owners. Okay, the owners locked out the players. Okay, we'll talk to you in February. Okay, so now we're talking in February and the players are getting increasingly nervous because March 31st is quickly approaching, and now the owners have set a deadline in terms of Monday for the season. And like, okay, they're trying to stir up some discontent with the players. And maybe they won't say it outwardly. Maybe they won't communicate it via social media because that'll be undercutting them. But eventually you're going to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now
So,
what I'm curious about is when we do get a deal, because we know we're going to get a deal.
I mean, eventually.
But say for example, like we were both guessing, we were saying, June the 1st, and it's 100 games or something like that. How much time are they going to give these teams, these players to get up to speed, to, have some sort of spring training?
2 weeks.
And you have a whole crap load of players that are unsigned. The Freddie Freemans, the Correas. There are a lot of free agents out there.
Signed. It's the ones that we don't have a list of handy that are going to have a hard time. They're going to be taking less money.
So do you think it's going to be like July 1st in hockey at 12:01? Yes. All these guys have already negotiated deals and they're just waiting for.
No, I don't know about that, but maybe a few. But I do think it's just going to be a difficult day for some because they're not going to get the money they were hoping for. I think that if games start to get canceled and it goes that way for a few weeks, I do predict Tony Clark will be removed.
Yeah, well, I mean, Donald Fear's got his hands full with hockey, so I don't think he's going to be going back to Major League Baseball unless he's brought in as an advisor. So I don't know where they go in terms of, you can't resurrect Marvin Miller here. So
no, and I can't imagine he would have players support when games are getting canceled. So it is a good ploy by the owners, no question about it.
Yep, I think they're well on their way to breaking the union. It's just a question of when.
Yeah, I don't think we don't want to say they're breaking it.
No, breaking. Okay, not breaking them up. I'm saying sort of breaking their back in negotiations.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening. Okay, so speaking of the ridiculous. Let's talk about Paul O'Neill getting his number retired.
Oh, come on.
As a New York Yankee. Don't say, oh, come on. Most organizations, ones with, I would say just that have a respect for the sport over the American dollar, usually retire players' numbers that are either in the Hall of Fame or they feel like are very close to the Hall of Fame. And Paul O'Neill is neither.
But he's an extremely well-loved Yankee who won 4 World Series.
So he doesn't even have a World Series homer.
Who cares? He won 4 World Series.
He didn't win it alone. He won it with a bunch of guys. Dave Justice was on those teams.
Right. Dave Justice won 1.
Oh.
1. I'm talking 4. He was on. He made the catch in Game 5. In '96, the Smoltz Pettit game, which was a game-saving catch because the game ended up 1-0. He had 474 against the Mets in 2000.
2000, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he is extremely well respected and loved by Yankee fans. So there's no complaint here. No, the one thing.
Who's better, him or Tino Martinez?
I think O'Neill is more well loved.
Who's a
Tino,
better player, him
I,
or
I think
Tino Martinez?
I think O'Neill is.
Oh,
I like Tino a lot, but I mean the one thing that Tino, in terms of Yankee fans, he replaced Mattingly, and there was a certain time frame that it took for the Yankee fans to start to like him. It's funny because I think when they really started liking him was when Armando Benitez beamed him in the back, and
mm-hmm.
there was and Darryl Strawberry went after Benitez in the Baltimore Orioles dugout. But he was an integral part of those championship teams too. So, maybe down the line, Tino gets his number retired. But I'll tell you this: I heard a caller, because they were talking about this on a New York talk show, on the Michael Kay show, and his solution was retire the numbers of the Hall of Fame players, meaning Jeter, Ruth, Gehrig, etc. But in terms of guys like Bernie Williams or Posada or O'Neill, honor them, have their number, have a plaque in Monument Park and it being honored as that, but let that number still be in circulation. There was only one player that wore 21 from the time that O'Neill retired in 2001 until now, and that was LaTroy Hawkins, and
Yep.
he was booed by Yankee fans every time he wore it, to the point that after 3 or 4
Who cares?
games,
The fans don't get to decide
but
whose number gets retired. That's ridiculous.
well, they're saying that the fans had a say so in Keith Hernandez getting his number retired.
I think he was going to anyhow. It's not like the Mets are loaded with championships, and he's a borderline Hall of Famer. So I think he was going to. My argument. I think Keith Hernandez should be in the Hall of Fame if they let a steroid cheat like David Ortiz in there. Yeah. I mean, no question about that. So, but again, I just think just because people like him and he won, like here's a good example, okay? So the number 5, it's retired for the Yankees.
For DiMaggio, yeah.
For DiMaggio. But not for Tony Lazzari. Like, he never, ever got any kind of say-so. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of over 100 RBIs.
And he's a Hall of Famer, and I think they should honor him. I mean,
why didn't they?
I don't know. I assume
is he better than Paul O'Neill? Yeah, he is.
Well, he's a Hall of Famer, so I mean, and he was part of that. He was part of that Murderers Row 27 Yankees team.
But you get my thing here. I'm not directing this at you. I'm directing this at the Yankees because Paul O'Neill's on the Yes Network and he is so well loved. So why don't we do this and make a big day of it and, sell the number 21 baseballs or whatever else they're going to do. But yet a guy like Tony Lazzari never got his day.
Yeah, I mean, similar to in hockey, the Maple Leafs retired like the number 1 for both Johnny Bauer and Turk Broda. Both of them are acknowledged. I would not have a problem. Now, maybe it was something with DiMaggio because we know how prickly DiMaggio was, that he said something to the fact that, okay, we're retiring 5, it's for me and it's for nobody else.
Well, Lazzari was dead by the time they retired DiMaggio's number. So,
right. Yeah.
That didn't help.
So, but, I mean, I'm pretty sure that, number 1 is retired for Billy Martin. I thought 1 was retired for somebody else as well, but.
Nope. Billy Martin.
Okay. Just Billy Martin. 2 Jeter, 3 Ruth, 4 Gehrig, 5 DiMaggio, 6 Torrey, 7 Mantle, 8 Berra, 9. I think 9's still out there, actually.
2 8s.
Dickey and
Berra, and 9 was for Maris. They did do Maris, which is
okay. Good. 10 Rizzuto.
Yep.
Now they're not going to retire Brett Gardner, so 11's out there. Although, he won a World Series, so maybe down the line.
Listen, somebody made that joke, a cousin of mine, about Brett Gardner, and for all the love he has, Mike,
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, probably. Well, Kay, who is the Yankee announcer, did say, he says the only number that he could see going forward until like maybe, Judge 10 years from now, if he wins a World Series or has, 500 home runs or something like that. The only number that he could see being retired, is Sabathia, because Sabathia is going to be in the Hall of Fame. And,
I don't know if Sabathia is going to be in the Hall of Fame. Why do you assume that?
270 career wins. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
All right, let's look at CC Sabathia. Let's see. He had a nice career, no doubt.
Yeah.
He won 20 games once.
Right.
Which, not great, but there's others that are in there that have done that.
Mike Messina,
251 wins.
Oh, I thought it was 270. Okay.
No. So 251, which, I think nowadays puts you in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Strikeouts, 3,000, so that's good.
Yeah.
Once you get over 2,500, that's a good number.
One World Series in 2009.
Yeah. ERA, not great. 3.74. That's
right.
That's pushing it.
That's a Jack Morris ERA type. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see about awards.
One Cy Young, I believe.
One Cy Young and an ALCS MVP. He's on the edge.
Yeah.
He led the league in shutouts 3 times, but that's because in 06, 08, 08, it's like 2 or 3. Like, he was just one of the only guys finishing games, but still, it's something. Led the league in wins twice.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a deadlock first ballot Hall of Famer, but
there's a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a better chance than Andy Pettitte, and not because I think Andy Pettitte was just as good, or maybe, his Bonafides.
Well, this is the funny part. On Baseball Reference, the first pitcher for similar pitchers is Andy Pettitte.
Yeah, left-handed, 200 and some odd wins, similar length of career.
And then Mussina, Cologne, Morris.
Yeah, I mean, Cologne's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but the thing is that Pettitte probably will never get in because of the steroids. So
yeah, I think he's pretty much out because of that, regardless of him telling the truth, which was good.
Yes.
So yeah, Sabathia's best thing is that Morris got in. If Morris got in because of postseason, he was much better in the postseason than Sabathia, though.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably put Sabathia in the category like Morris or Blyleven or Gaylord Perry.
I think he's just behind a Blyleven. Like, Blyleven was pretty much the ace everywhere he went. Sabathia wasn't always the ace everywhere he went. He was in Cleveland.
He was in Cleveland. He was in Milwaukee for the playoff run. He was with the Yankees for, I'd say probably the first 5 years of his career. So, I mean, he was an ace, for the majority of his career.
For the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good argument. I definitely would not say out of hand, no.
And he's not a complete and utter jerk like
no, he's a good guy.
Schilling. He's a good guy, so I think that's in his favor as well.
We don't need it to be the Hall of good guys, but he is a good guy. So I think you make a good, compelling argument with him. So now we're gonna see. Now we've got a deadline, and now we've got games that could be canceled, and this is a big deal now. I did not expect MLB to push it this soon. Did you?
Not Monday. I thought it was going to be, eventually, in a couple weeks. But
yeah, maybe like middle of March. Yeah,
you're talking 30 days out from the beginning of the season, and they're already canceling games. I mean, this might be a ploy just to really push it to the players that, we're not messing around. You better talk turkey here, or Monday we drop the bomb.
Yeah. MLB Players Alumni Association voted their new president, Jim Tomei. That's a good choice. shows him online with a picture of Brooks Robinson. I've attended a few events for them, and they do a nice job. They give lots of charity, and Brooks Robinson's a terrific guy. So I think Tomei's a good choice. Like that, get that young blood in there, or young compared to Brooks Robinson, and that's good.
Yeah, Tomei has always struck me as a very affable type of guy, so I think that is an excellent choice. And the funny thing is, and Tomei started his career as a third baseman, which is, we obviously know that late in his career he was primarily first base and then DH because he got a little big. So he wasn't as nimble at third base as he was when he started his career. But yeah, he's a good guy. I always liked him as a player, even though he never played for the team I rooted for. So.
No, but I actually inadvertently went to a game because a friend just wanted to meet in town in Philly, and it happened to be a game they were honoring Jim Tomei. It was Jim Tomei Day, and that was good. I had seen him play. I covered him a little bit, so that's good. I'm going to tell you the last thing here. A little unusual that we don't have a quote from Rob Manfred. He's hiding back in the shadows, it seems.
Yeah, I think that's the only negative when it comes to the owners is that Rob Manfred is their spokesperson. It's like, he just brings up negative everything whenever you see him or hear him or see what he's doing in terms of, things that are he's pushing for the game. We won't even get into the DH situation, but there have been other things, and we can only hope that, the extra inning, extra runners crap that they've been doing was, something to do with the pandemic, and they go back to regular baseball, this year, but nothing's guaranteed. I put nothing past Rob Manfred to screw things up.
Oh yeah, but right now they're trying to end it, so we'll see. I have to read this tweet from Jason. I'm going to say his last name is McKay. Hopefully I pronounced that right. He's a Pirates beat writer for PG Sports now.
Yeah, I think it's McKay. Yeah.
Okay. He wrote, next MLB negotiating session, everybody should have to bring their wives and kids and explain this shit to them. Better yet, let the wives handle it. We'll have baseball back in 48 hours. He's right.
Well,
he is right.
He is right. And think of it this way. Think the fact that, okay, nobody's worried about the beat writer, but that's their job. Their job is to write about baseball games, and when there are no baseball games, what is he going to do? Go cover the AAA team of the Pirates? The Pirates are pretty much a AAA team as it is. But is Rob Longley, who covers the Toronto Blue Jays, going to move down to Buffalo like he did last year and cover the Buffalo Bisons?
Yeah, I could see him covering the Bisons. Like I told you. On the side, I could see some of these AAA teams getting temporary deals to show their games because April 8th, opening day is happening. Jason McKay, what would he go to? Altoona? That's one?
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know where their AAA team is. I don't.
I'm pretty sure Altoona is still the Pirates, but after the whole bloodletting of the minor leagues, I can't say I have a perfect handle on minor league baseball, even though I do write for GTS. And yeah, the Altoona Curve are still there. Yep, they are still for the Pirates. They're Double A.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe he has to go in Altoona and get a hotel there. That'll be a lot of fun, won't it, Mike?
Oh yes, I'm sure. Well, and I have to correct. I think that like a lot of the Toronto beat reporters, because of the border, ended up staying in Toronto and them doing Zoom calls with the Blue Jays players while they were here until I think June or July. But yeah, one way or the other, Toronto is going to be subject to having to be and cover Buffalo, but it's not going to be, Vlad Guerrero Jr. It's going to be, whoever. And we know that they keep their good prospects down in Double A, so it'd be, AAA.
Sure, and that's why I said Altoona. Yeah, because I knew that was Double A, Mike, of course. No, but you're right about the Double A things, and I'm just kidding. Otherwise, that's it. That's it for the game. We'll catch everybody next time.
Oh man.